I think we still gotta improve more. We did not perform our best.
Yeah, well, you sure performed your best after in Game 2 and Game 3, so, you guys, it seemed like a little bit of, if you can do it, we can do it better. Game 1, they beat you with Morph, you snagged the Morph. Game 3, you guys, the Team Spirit loves the Mars Phoenix. You guys kind of steal the Mars Phoenix. Was that on purpose, by the way?
Not really. Mars and Phoenix is like our comfort pick also, so
Sure.
we're just gonna pick them against them.
Alright.
Yeah.
Is there a better Mars at this event than you?
Yeah.
Who?
The Team Spirit guy quite good. Like to be honest. Yeah.
So it was a bit of a deny, but I get you. All right, so very, very interesting route to get here, especially for you, my friend. How are you feeling now? Are you feeling recovered? You feel 100%?
Not 100%, but like almost fully recovered though. So I'm feel okay now.
All right, good. So
Thanks for caring.
what was that like, having to play the most important games of your match at the most important tournament of your match in the group stage and being sick?
I mean, you cannot do anything about it, right? You just have to take medicine and then try to recover as fast as you can. And then, I mean, Wolf did a good thing for all for those who get the COVID, right? They let us attend the event. I mean, attend the tournament. So yeah, I mean, we really appreciate about it.
Well, we're honestly happy to have you. We couldn't have asked for a better first series. And I'll ask you one more quickie, very short.
Yeah.
Next series, OG Secret. Who do you want to face coming up? You gotta take the winner, buddy.
Maybe I prefer Secret.
Woo.
I mean, both of them are good team, but maybe we play against Secret. We got like more comfortable against.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of people want to play against OG in general with the chat line spam.
Yeah, OG TI 2 times champion, so too scary.
All right, well, thank you so much, JT. A really fantastic series. Couldn't ask for a better one to open up this main event, and we'll shoot it back over to you, Frankie.
I don't think we could have asked for a better interviewee either. I absolutely love JT. First TI, absolutely straight out the gate with the confidence in the interview. And that Team Spirit Mars guy, he is quite good. I would absolutely agree, but there you go, JT, you're quite good as well. Should we take a look at the brackets and see where we're at after the opening series? Not much has changed, but Invictus Gaming, they are still in the upper bracket as expected. They've made top 6 at TI, and then Team Spirit, they're going to be facing the loser of Undying and Fnatic. So we'll speed over to the lower bracket so you can see that close up. Who do you think is going to be their next competition? Is it going to be NA or is it going to be SEA? God, I can see you straining with thought.
Struggling. That is one of the more hard.
These are his 2 fanboy regions. He doesn't know where to go. You see, you've caught him in something here.
I'm gonna upset one of the fan base.
You already upset Undying earlier by pledging allegiance to Quincy Crew, let's face it.
I'm going with Fnatic on that one. That's the why I have my bracket. So I think either way, Spirit gotta feel at least pretty happy with their matchup. They don't get like the EG elephant, like whichever team wins that's best one, that's a tough opponent. So Spirit do find themselves with at least a very winnable BO3 down there.
Badger agreeing, do you think we're going to see Spirit moving on?
Well, I mean, I think Fnatic is slightly more likely to win that best of one, but Undying has really impressed basically everybody. The other underdog story that did well, so I can go either way. I think Spirit is better than both of those teams, though, so I think Spirit still has a good chance to go a little deeper together.
And finally, Trent, your final
100%.
thoughts.
I think what we saw there, and you saw what IG said, they pushed us to our comfort pick, right? There's only one other team they picked Mars Phoenix versus. That was EG in the group stage. Something that we know they love from the Mage and everything. They brought that out versus Team Spirit. That shows a lot of respect. So I would be very worried to face them in the lower bracket.
Well, we've got to show some respect now to the next team, because after this short video, we are going to have Sumi, Aoi, Lizard, and Jenkins coming up. But before then, we've got something quite cozy for you. It's the community talking about why they Dota.
I play Dota because I enjoy the competition.
I play Dota too because its complexity intrigues me.
I play Dota to see my perfect team every day.
当然，最后也因为 Dota 2认识了超多新的朋友，收获了宝贵的友情。
Я люблю Доту за страсть, за комьюнити и за ощущение, что я в своей тарелке.
I play Dota because I want to make my family proud.
这款游戏的魅力就在于，其实你变成了云玩家，也在关心这个游戏。 我玩 DOTA 2的话，是因为，毕业之后也可以跟朋友们在一起有事可做吧，才有火。上呀，老头，别怂呀！
我打DOTA是因为爱玩。
Why do I play Dota? I don't know. Why am I here?
Я играю в Dota 2, потому что это легкий способ завести новых друзей. Или потерять старых.
I play Dota because otherwise I would need to get a real job.
我玩 Dota 是因为这是款很好的游戏，你越玩它会越为它着迷。
为什么喜欢 Dota 2？因为在 Dota 游戏里认识了许多志同道合、能一起快乐玩耍的小伙伴。
I play Dota because you can always get better.
Я играю в Доту, потому что это помогает мне эмоционально разгрузиться.
I like Dota because it's a reflection of the bad and good in life.
I play Dota to get time off from my wife.
Why I Dota? That is a really great message because there's a lot of things that bring people to Dota 2. How about we talk a little bit about you guys? AUI, what brings you to Dota 2?
I played Dota for so long I can't remember.
All right, Jenkins, how about you?
And I can tell you. Dota has the lowest lows of any game, but also the highest highs. Dota is euphoric, it can be depressing, but it is the best game in terms of emotion. I've never had a better, more emotional experience than like a throne race in a 70-minute game. That is unbeatable, 100%.
What about you, Lizard?
It's most certainly competition.
Competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love to lose a lot, so I chose Dota, lost a lot. Here I am on the panel now. It's a perfect game.
Well, I would say then that's a good path, because now you're here with us. For those of you at home who would like to tell us why you Dota, remember that you can find us on social media. Use the hashtag TI10. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for all of your TI10 needs. Gentlemen, it is now time to talk about the second series. It's Secret versus OG, widely considered one of the the highest anticipated matches of the early main event. Tell me a little bit about what do you think about this matchup so far, Lizard?
What can I even say? How do you start introducing OG versus Secret matchup? This is one that documentaries can be made of, and an hour of documentary wouldn't be enough. So this panel is crammed with time to actually talk about Secret and OG. Just looking forward to this amazing match.
But yet at the same time, it's like so hard to do that because they haven't played each other at TI before, right? This is the first time?
That is true. Actually, the stats are very interesting because it goes beyond that. So in the previous 3 TIs, Liquid actually knocked out Secret every single time. In TI 7, Secret got 9th through 10th, and then 5th through 6th, and then 4th. So every single time they met Liquid in the lower bracket at a later point, and every single time they lost at a later point. So now, Kuro is not in TI. The Kryptonite to Puppey is not at TI. And Puppey's actually quoted as saying in an interview that Kuro is his Kryptonite. And so the question that I have is that, is No-Tail also Puppey's Kryptonite, and we just haven't been able to see it yet?
Interesting. Why is that though? Why is Puppey, or sorry, why are Kuro and No-Tail potentially Puppey's Kryptonite, AUI?
So I think they have a lot of history together, right? Like Kuroki and Puppey, they played on so many teams together. Even go back to Dota 1, your KSINT, all this time. And No-Tail, he was actually on a team with Puppey on the original Team Secret. And it seems to be like the more you know about Team Secret, the more you can... So it appears with Kuroki doing so at previous TIs.
Right, the original Team Secret, the first ever Team Secret in 2014 was Puppey, Kuro, S4, No-Tail, and Fly, who are now all prestigious captains. So it's almost like there were too many cooks with that team, but now they're all captaining teams, and the question is like, how well do they all know each other?
Yeah, because if you think about Kuroki and what Aoi mentioned,
yeah,
that was 13 years ago. 2008,
That's a long time.
Dota 1 at KSN is where they started. N0tail, however, you know, he played on, he came into this game, he joined Secret with Fly. He didn't have as much time and as much exposure to Puppey, but he definitely did share a lot of time together, and he probably has very good insights on how to play versus Secret, especially at the grand stage such as TI, because what he said through TI8 through TI9, it's a mental warfare, and that's something that's a thing where Secret hasn't really been stellar in the past, at least.
There's also like a lot of info on Puppey, right? Like Puppey has been at all 10 TIs. We actually have a little bit of statistics on him. Let's take a look. So he's appeared, as I mentioned, all 10 times, so first rank for that. He's had 214 matches with 121 wins, which is impressive. Very, very impressive. 2,443 assists, and also 8 hours and 2 minutes total time dead. He spent a lot of time dead.
8 hours. 1/3 of a day.
One whole third of a day, and that puts him in 3rd place in the rankings. And AY, tell me a little bit about how does that matter to you? Like, you spend a lot of time dead, but you know he's Puppey, right? He's the Puppey wall.
More than the time dead, he has such a high number in that because he's played so many games. And honestly, it's a testament to how good Puppey is that he's first in games played and wins, and only 3rd on time dead, right? Like, that's impressive.
That's true. I would argue that's because that guy always runs in and then buys back. so
that's less time dead.
Yeah, it's less time dead because he's just paying to not be dead.
But if you pay to buy back and then you die again, then you spend all that time.
That is true, which is why he's 3rd. Yeah, so that's why he's up there as well.
He's actually not only played every single TI, but he's been the position 5 for the majority of the time, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Not the whole time.
Yeah, only not like TI, maybe like TI1. Was Kuro 4 or 5? I can't actually remember.
I think he was. I don't think.
Sorry, we should actually know this.
in any
That's
case,
a long time
as a support, as a 5, you die a lot. Specifically, the way he plays, the fact that he always waits on the high grounds that whatnot breaks smokes.
That's true.
Is very sacrificial. This old school position 5, such as Solo from Virtus Pro and Puppey from back in the day, Navi, they would always be the first ones that go in, like an Ogre or Elder Titan, just running in, breaking smoke.
That's actually one really common thing between OG and Secret, is that both N0tail and Puppey do that, right? I think Puppey does it. Usually he's the wall that's standing on the high ground, and when N0tail is doing that, well, of course, he's occasionally doing that, but other times it's like to make space for his team in the early game so that way they can hit their timing.
Well, we now have the teams ready, so let's first bring out OG onto the stage. Of both TI8 and TI9, returning champions OG are here to fight for their 3rd TI championship in a row. Unveiling a new roster that includes TI champion Sumail and experienced TI competitor Saksa, they had an impressive 3rd place finish with a 10-6-4 in the TI10 group stage after qualifying through the Western Europe qualifier. Puppey himself said OG is a well-respected team and great to practice with, and he has always wanted to meet them on the TI stage, and now it is becoming a reality. Known for their aggressive plays and momentum capitalization, OG is widely considered a top contender at the International 10. Secret has, over several years, proven that they are one of the best performing teams. taking first place at 8 major tournaments in a row. And now they are here to prove that they can take that skill from majors to the international stage as they compete against the champions of the last 2 years. While OG is known for their aggressive plays, Team Secret is known for their diversity and their patience. Finishing out group stage in second place with a 10-6, will the puppy wall be the thing that sends OG to the lower bracket? That is the question of this matchup. It's two very unique play styles that directly contrast each other. Gentlemen, we will take a quick look at a recap of Secret's journey to the International.
The time has been bought for Secret to turn up. Matthews going again straight for N0tail. N0tail actually had to separate himself this time around. They've got the silence out of Matthew. Can they kill him off? Matthew wants the enrage. He's still got the BKB. He's going to pop it. Sandy's down. Turner will set. Puppy comes in with the tether, keeping him alive. The snowball comes up for Yapzor. Matthew.
Oh my God, he's alive.
Finally, he's going to be able to live. He's going to be able to live. He gets out of there. Puppy with the save. They've killed off a fourth. The Saxa goes down. I mean, it's just too much for OG. God. It's too much. They cannot deal with Secret here. Can they kill this PA? No.
He's jumping away.
He's away once more. Over towards Puppy. He goes. Matu's out. Now they're ready to turn. Woo! Matu's back in. Ravage out. Enzai is ready to go for more. There's the backup required as they jump in onto S4. A Wukong's command comes immediately to an end. As it's getting messy.
Into the fourth staff. Okay.
As game 3, it was another game 1 hit. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, with Team Secret taking the game, taking the series, they are the champions here at Dream League Season 14, this EU Upper Division. Team Secret, your champions once again.
Really good foresight play by Puppy here.
Tusk might be in trouble too. He's got shards maybe to get some distance in a snowball on the high ground. That's well done.
Do you see a combo play? He know about the creeps to get vision, and then he managed to snowball up there because of it.
See the wall fight onto Matuma-Man. Matuma-Man is ready to go, but onto the side. Tuamo goes straight in with the charge. Over towards Puppy. Nisha turns towards the two of them. This is going to be the invis for now. Keeping Tuamo safe as he gets away with the Trickster Cloak over to the side. They're on top of Dead. Dead. He's being bashed up in control, but Dead. He's able to get the G's off. He gets a second chance for living here. Dead. Still alive. Finally falls to the side, but as Dead's gone, buys back over to the side. Play on. Rolls in onto Yapzor. If they're able to push back Yopaj. Yopaj continuing to be chased down by Matuma-Man. Matuma-Man staying the bash is there. Yopaj taken down. Drama as well in trouble. The Secret, the final third. Flyback's coming out for the three of them, but Skev, he needs help and he needs it now.
Where's the bat?
BKB, the four of them focusing down. Skev's trying to go for the TP out. Is he able to make it in time? He isn't. The stone comes in as the BKB comes to an end.
Morphling on the run here, low on mana, doesn't have a way out of this one. He's just going to be slowly burned down unless Matuma-Man can somehow save him, maybe Yapzor as well. He's got enough to be able to jump out with waveform. Call going in, now with the egg on the side here. Oh dear, he actually gets the call and he runs away. He's still alive through all of this one, Nico baby. He charges in with the egg swell, but that's just an Aeon disc on Yapzor. He's going to continue. He meets him around the corner and says, "Are you looking for me, punk?"
Team Secret had 950 points in the DPC, but what is it that really makes them truly powerful? There's a little, not only are they great Dota players, but there's also like that mental game also in play here. Lizard, tell me a little bit about how the mental game works here for both OG and Team Secret.
So I already said that mental warfare is probably the most important thing coming into TI more than any other tournament, right? Because your emotions get over you. It doesn't matter like who you're playing against, and when you're playing versus a team that's as strong as Secret, it can get tough for OG, especially as they don't have the same roster that was lifting them up. If you remember Jerax and Tiny Airlines and whatnot, that lightens the mood always. But what I've seen from Secret, not in this walkout, like when they were going to the booth, they looked very serious. However, in their games, I've seen some clowny business. I've seen some mechs being dropped on the ground in middle of team fights, laughter, just enjoying themselves a lot. And I think there's something changed about them. This might be the TI.
Yeah, on the flip side, you know, you could argue OG is the type of team that I think NoTail tweeted that like he really wanted the crowd to be there because it amplifies them. And something that I've noticed with OG too is that they, I think as a result of that, knowing that they feed off of that, they're upping their game for mental warfare. They're using, you know, I think they used Arteezy's significant other's chat line in a game, I believe, against them. There's also, you know, they're like question marking in all chat, and it sounds so goofy and it sounds so silly, but it's not, because they won 2 TIs doing this. They're the team that started this trend of people taking mental coaching a lot more seriously. So you could argue that OG has also upped the ante this time around as well, even with no crowd.
Oh, do you think it's more about propping yourself up, right, than anything else?
I think for OG specifically, I think a lot of it's seen as sort of like clowny or even bordering on BM, but to them, it's just them enjoying the game, loving the game, and having fun. I think that's really what propels them. I think you were mentioning Team Secret. They always come into TI as favorites, or most years. This year there's no crowd, and they've sort of taken a bit of a break, right? Mentally reset themselves.
Right.
And you mentioned they're having more fun in the games. I think we might see like a different Secret at TI, at least for the playoffs.
A different kind of Secret. What do you mean by that? How are they different?
Team Secret, like I think for the past few years, I think they're the best team in the world outside of TI. Like they dominate the meta for so much. Like when I was trying to learn what was like the groundbreaking Dota strategies, I would always look at Team Secret. And then they always, you know, they go to TI, they get 5th, and then they get 4th, and these would be disappointing placements for them. Like 5th and 4th are very respectable, but not what you expect out of a squad that shows this level of caliber throughout the year.
Yeah, they had 8 like major tournaments in a row that they won. Not DPC major, but like major in terms of, you know, $100,000 to $500,000 prize pools, something like that. They won 8 in a row.
And the finals were stomps too.
Yeah, like they were just stomps, yeah.
3-0 grand finals, one grand final after another. I was paneling most of them and felt like, okay, here we go. Secret comes in, it's a 3-0, going home early tonight, I suppose. But coming into this series, Slack said something interesting. He has his conspiracy theory that they were, you know, 4 months away from tournaments in order to hide their strategies and also to give themselves that mental break and change something, come into the TI in a little bit of a different way. And I think they've accomplished that.
I actually remember watching some major at some point, and they were interviewing Zai, and he was saying that for that major, they hadn't actually been scrimming up until like the 2 weeks before, other than boot camp. And so like the 2 week boot camp. And so it seems like they have had that mentality before, and they respect that mentality, and now they're actually doing that for TI rather than just these other tournaments. Perhaps it's because they took TI way more seriously, so they like changed it up, and now they're like, you know what, we're just gonna do what we did to win all of the other tournaments.
Yeah, actually, I remember, I think MDO Disneyland, they won that major. I don't think they played a single scrim before that tournament.
Yeah, that was actually, I think that was probably
they did scrim before the tournament.
Yeah.
That's some confidence. Is that a confidence thing, or is that like the super secret strat about being secret?
Did they scrim a lot before any major? Because they went out in the wild cards.
It's hard to say. That's hard to say. We didn't get many interviews.
I mean, the MDL Disneyland one, that was like 2018. I don't know. I think after they got 4th in Singapore, they were sort of qualified for TI. They decided to like straight set their eyes on TI. I think they're very goal-oriented.
I think that's something very similar to IG. You could see their games in DPC Season 2. They would even end them really quickly if things go wrong, just because they're focusing on the games, on the future.
I like that we can see OG and they're just looking up at the monstrous versions of themselves. Like, they're really enjoying the moment, and that's good to see for a team that, you know, obviously does incredibly well whenever they're enjoying the moment.
I like that so much though. Like you're at the main stage. I know it's OG. They're the best at dealing with TI pressure, but they've won 2 TIs. They're still enjoying the moment.
Yeah,
like,
that's good. It's so important.
Like, look at where we are. Remember how we got here, and
remember
like, believe
where we
in
came
each
from.
other. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like they made Saxa a little bit smaller, actually.
They may have.
Yeah, they may have.
I think
He is a giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to your point about enjoying themselves, there is actually, if you rewatch True Sight, Seb, coming into the grand finals, he says, guys, we already won this, just enjoy yourself. And that's it, right? If you enjoy what you're doing, it's so much easier to play, because that's how you defeat fear, that's how you defeat anxiety, and just go all in.
Yeah, it's
Channel
true.
the energy.
It's true. OG is 100% a mental team. I remember there was something in the Omega League. We actually interviewed Seb and we talked to him about like the nature of language, and he went off for like 3 minutes explaining that, you know, jokingly, like other teams literally steal the words that they use because they're so important for winning the game, bringing these extremely complicated concepts and making them very simple. So OG is all about the out-of-game stuff.
Tell me a little bit about their in-game stuff as well, because they're, as we mentioned earlier, they have 2 completely different play styles, with Secret maybe being a little bit more patient and OG being maybe a little bit more aggressive. Tell me a little bit about that, AUI.
So I think Team Secret this tournament, more than any other team, not just this tournament, but historically, I'll see an enemy team run up the high ground into all 5 of their heroes. Puppey will be in front, they'll kill him, he'll buy back, and they'll win the fight.
Yeah.
And this consistently happens. They're less of a timing team, and they're more like waiting for their good fight. They will always wait for the perfect fight. OG, on the other hand, I think they're honestly a bit of a misunderstood team. People see them as this hyper-aggro team, which they are. But I think mostly they're like a timing-based team. There's like an on switch for them, and as soon as they hit their timing, they're ready to go and they never stop. As long as you can pressure your opponent, they're down to like bring all the numbers they need.
Yeah, I remember watching a clip from No Tail stream where he was breaking down their TI-8 win, and this also goes back to the nature of the language that they use, and I absolutely loved it. Like, half the stream was him just memeing because he's a huge memer, but then the other half was like golden nuggets where basically he was like, yeah, so basically in this game, like, well, just Dota in general is like a game of cat and mouse, and as the game progressed, he was explaining the points where they were the cats and when they were the mice, and it's like these words that it sounds so silly and like almost childish, but it gives you a perfect idea of what their goal was at that point in the game. Like early game, OG, before the timings that you spoke about, what they do is they'll have Thompson like run in, not going for kills necessarily because he couldn't full to zero the heroes he's trying to go for, but just to make space. Literally just to make space until they can get to that point where they become the cats, and then when they become the cats, they're just vicious killers.
Interesting. And Lizard, what about the roster changes? We talked about it very briefly earlier, but now that OG is not the same OG that we've seen the last 2 years, what are the effects on that?
I'm not sure if it's just them keeping the qualifier, win the qualifier, go on to the TI.
Barely win the qualifier.
Barely win.
Yeah.
Both TIs, like the storyline is literally repeating itself, but when it comes to change that, we will adjust him. However, he is mechanically incredibly skilled. That's why he was top 2 on another TI, right, with DC before. So makes a ton of sense. He brings a ton of stability as well to the team, but in comparison to Jerax, maybe he does not necessarily have as much flair, and perhaps he doesn't bring as much when it comes to the emotional stability of the team.
Okay.
There aren't many players that can be as relaxed on a big stage as Jerax.
Well, here's the thing, though. The more you doubt, the more power it gives OG. I remember listening to Elon Musk speak about the simulation. I was thinking, man, this guy may have smoked a little too much with Joe Rogan, but now that OG is so doubted to win TI, and more doubted than before. I am 100% convinced we do indeed live in a simulation. You can't write a better storyline than this. You're doubting them live on the panel right before their game. This fuels them. I hope you realize. This travels through the ether of reality and gives them power. Look at Sumail.
So it's Kyle predictions and panel doubting.
Yes!
That's it?
Everybody doubting them. All of the worldly doubt fuels OG.
Honestly, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, AUI.
I was just going to say, OG looks pretty poised for a third-time fluke in a row, you know?
Well, he called it a fluke, so that still counts as doubting. You have to really mean it.
I mean, it's not flukes. I'm just saying, like, when you watch OG, you understand that they know things about Dota that I feel like they do better than any other team consistently.
All right, so AUI, give me like your 10-second description of Secret's biggest strength. We've talked a little bit about OG, but what about Secret?
I think Secret's biggest strength is that when they're waiting for the right fight, they're very patient and they move around the map before and after fights the best out of any team at the tournament, I think. Like Puppey will literally use like cardinal directions and just move his teammates around so you get the right angle. Even if it doesn't seem obvious at first, you'll be like, oh wow, that was a really good move.
Yeah, it's like Puppey's moving them all at once, basically.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it stems all the way back to the old school captains. You can really see the same thing in QQQ and ROTK and all these oldies. They do the same thing.
Awesome. So one more thing that I just have to ask. One of the things that we mentioned while we were talking over dinner about this series is that Secret was an informational based team. Tell me about that. What makes them an informational based team?
Well, I think a big thing is like Secret doesn't necessarily look for timings. It's not like, oh, you know, obviously to a degree they will. Every single team at TI will. It's like, oh, we have a BKB, they don't, let's go fight. But Secret is the type of team where like you'll have like 10 seconds left on your Ravage cooldown and they will be smoked waiting on a high ground for you to walk up and they'll fight you. Okay. So they use information better than a lot of other teams. And it's because it's their playstyle to just beat you when you don't have something available to you.
And to add on to that, I think Secret, as a team, they get the most information and they react to information the fastest. This team, traditionally, they push out the most waves. They will always have wave shove. They'll make the enemy show, you know, they'll get impatient, and that's why the enemy's actually running into them in the high ground, because they lost patience first. They're also, from what I've heard about their communications, I think they have, I mean, this is all hearsay because I've never been there, but everyone on that team talks a lot and provides a lot of information. I remember I saw this one series, I think it was with Vici, where they decided to put 3 heroes in the bottom lane, bring Puppey there, just so they could deward the camp. They get the hard pull off, which allows Yapzor to be freed up, and then they save their glyph so that their puck can get 6 before the enemy storm. They coil him and Yapzor's there because the lane's in good position for Zai. These sorts of plays are all set up by your communications. Like, you have to execute as well, but it's really good planning and everything.
It's definitely communication, but it has to come from somewhere, and that thing is experience. The amount of experience that Puppey brings to the team, that these big captains bring to teams, it's difficult to beat because he has multiple mental models on a way that he can direct his team to play a different style in every single game. And he's surrounded by such talent that they're able to actually conform and move into the different directions of different strategies. I think that's extremely important for them. If they're losing, they will never bow down and make these silly mistakes. They won't even desperate smoke out. They will continuously try to split push to buy themselves some more time, and they're the best at that.
One thing that really that has me wondering is how the current state of affairs of the world has affected TI for both of these teams. As you mentioned earlier, OG has no audience that N0tail can feed off of, but at the same time, Team Secret, a very, very experienced team, they're probably not really sure what to do with this as well. There's no audience. They might have, like, there was no TI last year, so they don't have, like, the practice, the extra TI experience. Do you think that both of these teams will be suffering a little bit, or do you think that they're just ready, they're prepared?
Well, I would say that emotions are still running high. If you think about the majors, one team got devastated by a punctuation mark, so it doesn't matter if it doesn't really matter if you have the audience or not, but the build-up is even bigger because it's been longer. We've had 2 years of no TIs. Because of that, this is so important for every single team.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a question of, like, for different individuals, this would matter more or less. you know, going back to EG, I see EG as a team that they are, you know, desperate for number ones. They want to break the curse, whereas I feel like Team Secret, if they're coming into this with any mentality that's close to their major mentalities, well, it's the same. You know, there's no crowd, there's a lot of money on the line. It's the same thing. And so that's the one argument. Like, I don't remember who it was that said it, but it wasn't me, just so I don't get in trouble for this. But somebody said, I think it was Slacks, that Puppey isn't necessarily the type of guy that you would want to cry on his shoulder if you're losing the game. He's a great captain. He can, you know, tell you exactly what to do, but perhaps he rules with a bit of an iron fist. You know, No-Tail on the other side, Seb as well. These are the types of guys that they will, you know, pick you up. They'll deal with your emotions and fix them perhaps. And so the question is, will Team Secret just not need their emotions to be picked up because there are less of them now and it's so similar to majors? Are they different from EG in that way? And I guess that's what we'll see today.
Sure.
AUI, did you have anything to add?
No, I was just thinking, it's because Puppey, he has this image of this very scary captain. But I've worked with him before, and he's actually sort of a goofball.
He's a nice guy.
No, when you run into like when you see Team Secret sitting together, they actually sit together and they make animal noises at each other.
What?
I don't know for
what
fun.
type of animal?
I don't know. Like
orangutans?
Yeah, you know, just anything to have fun.
Monkeys are fun.
It's less public facing, but what did you say? Sorry,
said monkeys are great. Continue.
I think it's true that maybe the team dynamic from the outside doesn't look like Secret will be as comforting, but the one topic I wanted to touch on is the coaches of the two teams. Because for me, I think it's super interesting that for OG, they've changed their coach after every TI win. Like some fresh ideas, something coming in. And Team Secret, they have Heen, who I believe he got second with Team Nigma, or they were Team Liquid at the time, and then he jumped over to Secret, right?
Yep.
A couple years ago. He's been there for a long time, more stable.
He also tweeted that he will make the president of, is it Denmark?
Estonia?
No. Matumba Man.
Finland?
Finland. Okay.
Oh.
The king, the president.
He would make the president. He will make that president. No, is it a king?
I think maybe
whatever
they
the
have
leader
both,
is there,
whatever.
they will know. They will know Matumba Man's name.
Because they met Jerax
by the end of the year.
Hobson, right?
They did.
But they did not meet Matu.
No.
And he was very sad about that.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say that for all of you at home who aren't as lucky as me, I can look at Synderen like a few feet away from me at the drafter's
shaking
desk,
his head.
and he's shaking his head at Jenkins right now, and he was the one that told us it was Finland. What an expert!
Thank you, Sin.
Thank
you.
When it comes to the coaches that you talked, I actually did talk to Soshka a little bit. I'm sad that he didn't manage to get here on TI, but he is still a side coach. They didn't abandon him. He's still with the team, as much as I understand. But
All right, cool. Well, it looks like we are ready for the first game of the series. Let's get it started.
OG versus Team Secret. Game 1.
Welcome to the draft panel once again, this time with OG versus Secret. Two teams with such high-skilled captains and drafters that it almost feels like the draft is a game in and of itself. To analyze this draft, my name is L+, and I'm joined this time by two excellent members of the panel. It's going to be the high MMR player, Effie, even higher MMR as a person, and the stoic and ex-pro, Synderen.
Hello.
Hello. So, I'm going to start with you, Synderen. So you have this incredible competitive experience. I want to hear about you. I want to hear about the drafting styles about these two teams. In an overarching sense, what could you tell me about their philosophy when it comes to the draft?
I think overall, I don't know if you want to talk like history or just this event in specific, but
go ahead with history.
I would say OG, historically speaking, at TI has been more of a meta dictating team than Secret has, at least in the last couple of events. Obviously, they have 2 victories under their belt, so this could be a correlation there. That if you're the teams that come in with a lot of the cool strategies and have good ideas, you can go far. And something that OG have always been really good at TI is something I would call like combos. So they have this understanding, they figure out, I don't know how they do it, they like drill the game into absolute detail and figure out what is the really strong mechanic of this patch. Like TI8, they were playing on healing, at TI9 they were playing on regen, and now let's see what it is at TI10 and if they have that advantage over the other teams. Because usually they can kind of hold their cards a little bit close to themselves until the main event, and then they're gonna go all out and show what they've got. So far, nothing too surprising here, though.
Okay. I really like what Synderen said about a meta-dictating kind of team always succeeding, because as we've seen earlier this season with PSG, LGD in particular, they were the ones who kind of set the trend for the Animajor, right? They innovated the carried axe, they were playing all kinds of different styles, and they won it, right? So the teams that are willing to be more creative and actually bust out the new heroes and the strange builds are always the ones that go further on the big stage.
And then what can you tell about Secret then, their philosophy?
I would say Secret overall have been, how to say, that they're a little bit more stable in a sense. I think, how to put this? So sometimes OG's strategies can be absolutely incredible, and other times it's almost like they're like over creative and almost shoot themselves in the foot because they try to do too many things at once. And they kind of like try to and from my perspective, it seems like sometimes they need to tame themselves a little bit because they love to be crazy and wacky and they want to do all this stuff. So you've had drafts with OG during qualifiers as well, where people are like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? What is this strategy? How is it meant to work? And other times you see the strategy and you don't understand it, and you see a game play out and you're like, wow, okay. They were like thinking at this 3 levels higher than I was imagining, right? And then all the pieces come together. Secret, it's a little bit more stable. I would say Secret's bottom level in drafting is probably higher than OG's, but I think their ceiling is also a little bit lower. So it depends who gets to, like if OG is at absolute echelon tier for themselves, I see them having an advantage in the draft. So for Secret, it's about sticking to their guns, getting something stable, and maybe throwing a curveball if they can a little bit to OG, and making them, get out of their comfort zone a little bit.
For now, we don't see much of a curveball. We see one of the most picked heroes, or most contested, which is going to be the Monkey King. Actually, one of the best teams at playing Monkey King, because they have multiple of the best Monkey King players in the team. Thoughts on the start, Effie, of Monkey King Ancient Apparition?
So the thing about Monkey King is that out of all the popular and more contested heroes recently, I think he might provide the most value in the first phase, just because he can be flexed to every single role and played well, right? Typically these first phase heroes can play on maybe 2 core roles, maybe on 1 support role, but with Monkey King you can have him play 1 through 5, and depending on if you have players who excel at it, you can adjust it to the enemy team's draft. So that hero in and of itself in that regard provides value. The AA pick is pretty obvious, right? Because we saw Io being picked up by OG, so they just go for the typical counter left in the pool. But the Io that OG has currently is a little bit more interesting because if you saw this on another team, you'd probably think it's a support, but OG have already played it twice on the offlane, so...
Yep. And talk about Unorthodox. I mean, OG, they start with Io Mars. We've seen a lot of Mars plus some sort of combo in the arena. That's the most obvious thing people see, but what is the strength of this Io Mars as a starter?
That's a good question. I think so. Something that OG use that I would imagine with Mars for them is that I'm not putting this off lane right now. I think it could be multiple different roles. I think it could be a mid hero for Topson. I think it could even be a 5 for N0tail, just because they haven't shied away from doing these things, and specifically almost I feel like planning a draft based on the expectation of the opponent. So they will pick a hero, anticipate that the opponent thinks it's this role, and then they round out the draft in the end, so that in a way it's not even picked as a flex pick. In their minds it's already maybe support, and then in the end they just know what core they want because they've planned for it to be support the whole way, and the enemy team has counterpicked as a core, and then they just swap things around, where it might seem like, wow, that was a really great snap last minute decision, and they might have planned it 5 minutes ago. So that's what I think when I see this, that Mars is just a flex pick for them. As far as Secret goes in this tournament, I think maybe they are the team in theory that has the most flexibility on Monkey King. I genuinely think all 5 of their players could play this in this game. But when you pick AA, that corners it a little bit more, so it's probably not 5, but that's basically all OG know right now. I guess it needs no introduction. Both Nisha and Matumba and Monkey King. Yapzor has played at this tournament already. He went for a build that we've seen a couple of people play with, like the Atos into Gleipnir build. And Zai would also be able to play it. I think he's the least likely of the 4, though, to grab it.
Yeah, the team actually was running Monkey King offlane was OG in the start of the season with a Witchblade build that Seb tried out, which was mixed results. I wanted to go back a bit in the draft, though, Effie, and ask you about a specific ban, which surprised me a bit, which is the Storm ban of the first two bans. You let the Monkey King, a highly contested hero, pass through, and the Storm gets banned.
That's funny, Ava, because I was looking at it just now, and I thought it was interesting as well, but it does make sense. It seems to me that really OG did place this IO in high regard, because instead of caring about a potential Monkey King, they just chose to protect their IO. So IO is a hero who can provide so much utility for a team, but his biggest issue is just getting jumped. Right. And a lot of teams are not afraid of first phasing Storm anymore. The hero does get countered quite easily, but he can be played regardless of that. And sometimes picking your mid hero in the first phase is something that you have to do versus specific teams who like drafts like the IO, right? So they ban the Tiny and the Storm out, who both excel at killing him, and that's the priority they placed here.
And Storm is also a much better pick on the last pick of the first phase than he is on the 1-2, right?
Yeah.
It means you get to go into bans and solve some of the problems you might have. In recent times, I think Storm's bad matchups mid are very limited as well. There's not like that many heroes you could pick if you're OG. And specifically, one of Storm's worst matchups in lane, Lina, is something that I don't think we see Topson play that much. When Lina was very popular, Topson was one of the few mid players that never touched it, actually. It just didn't fit his style. He has played it since sometimes, but I don't think it's one of his favorites. So that could be part of it. Another thing is, you might open up the Monkey King for Secret specifically because when I think about all of the top teams in the world, I think Secret is probably the team that, in my opinion, is least successful with IO. Like, they've tried it many different times in different variations over the years. They've had Puppey play it, Yapzor play it, and it's like, there are games where it looks really good, but there's just as many where it's like, like, what if? There's all these what if feelings. So I think OG, being super experienced both with and against the hero, are fine with just leaving it in the pool. You know what, Secret, you guys want it, we have a plan for you. If not, we're going to take it every time. Right. So you kind of put the onus on Secret to find a solution of how this hero is going to play into the game in general.
And now, you talked about combos earlier for OG, but the combo is going to come out for Team Secret, a tried and true combo. Usually it's SCA teams that love this combo the most, but it's the Earthshaker Morphling. For those of you at home that don't know, Morphling will get an Ags, he'll turn into Shaker, he'll crit you for 1,000 damage, and you go, where's my HP, where's my support? You can't stop him, he moves around the map, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Can you tell me, do you think this is the game for an Earthshaker combo, or Morphshaker combo?
So I want to talk about this combo in particular because it was a nightmare a few months ago, not like a year ago or something, right? In pubs where it just felt incredibly strong. It felt uncounterable to a degree,
TNC.
And it fell out of favor because of nerfs to Earthshaker, right? And nerfs to Morphling as well, but specifically Earthshaker's airtime in his Ags. But recently they reverted that change. So now when Earthshaker buys an Ags, his airtime is much lower, which was a direct buff to this combo, but also he cleaves when he lands in the totem, so.
Oh, and that also works on the Morphling ranged attack, which I didn't know until I saw. That's like kind of.
You don't have to do any swap at all. Like, you can just do it as ranged.
Your ranged attack has cleave.
That's absurd.
So when people realized, hey, this is good again, I expected it to be probably the two most picked heroes together at this tournament.
If you haven't seen what Effie was talking about, before, as you know, Shaker was quite fast at jumping through the air, then they reverted it, and it felt like you were watching Space Jam in slow motion, right? And now we're back to actually watching the real NBA, and that's where Morphling is scariest. So, we have last picks here. What could we be expecting for both teams? You talked about the Monkey King flex. Where are you expecting him now?
I'm mainly just, I want to quickly look at OG again, just because. Okay. So they've played IO Tusk, right, as a dual lane where it's been Seb playing the IO and Soxa on the Tusk position 4. If they do want to do that, this Mars is indeed 5, most likely, right? Then the mid would be Invoker for Topson, which is probably a lock at this point.
Yes.
If you want to do it quote-unquote standard, you could play Mars Tusk lane and then put IO plus carry safe lane, but it sounds kind of weak against Morph, so I think Secret or OG are more likely to run that IO Tusk lane. As far as Secret goes, they want a last pick that is probably just their mid hero. They could put Monkey King mid against Invoker. It's not a bad matchup, and grab an offlaner here for Zai. The thing is, that's probably what they're going to do.
You don't think it's bad, despite the fact that Tornado can dispel the Jingle Mastery?
So I want to say, historically speaking, that Monkey King performs very well against Quaswex and Invoker mid. He runs at you and hits you, and if you have to space yourself as Invoker all the time, he denies the creeps.
Right.
And Invoker is very limited in terms of utility in the lane. Like you said, he has this one Tornado, but aside from that, he can't really fight back. His base damage isn't great, his armor isn't that great. Monkey King, if he ever gets the procs in, he's going to go for it. All right, it is probably going to be an offlane Monkey, though, as it looks.
Interesting.
mid-Ember.
It could also be an offlane Shaco, which we've seen a lot in this tournament.
Could.
Just to add on to that point about Monkey King versus Invoker, Monkey King is actually quite nice because when Quastox Invoker attempts to rotate around the map, Monkey King can match his pace very easily. He's not one of those mid-heroes who needs to sit there and farm forever. He can do that, but he can also join these side lane fights very early on.
Right.
The concern for that is just playing versus Mark.
OG's pace here. They can play super fast. Crosswix Invoker, Ursa Wisp. There's so much tempo. Tusk. Secret's lineup needs a little bit more time to build up, so I think OG are going to play super hyper aggressive in this game, play very explosive Dota. If Secret can weather the storm and get later, I think their strategy is most likely going to win this game. So a very clear contrast between the two styles here with aggression versus more tempered gameplay.
And you asked about weaknesses in particular. I would just say that OG does have to play very well around these first couple of Aegises.
So you heard my panelist conclusions, but there's one man that I can't have on panel because it's just a bit too valuable. His name is BSJ, and he'll be giving you the last word for today.
Thank you very much, Brian. Yes, looking forward to this one massively. Secret versus OG up here in the upper bracket. Fog, we've had the draft in front of us.
Yep.
What are you excited to see? I'm already seeing so much that I'm sure the fans of both teams at home are going to be very excited for this match.
Lots of combo plays, lots of speed, especially from the side of OG, as panel has been saying. And like Brian did tick it off. Very kind of different styles that we'll be going for. Obviously, OG is going to be looking to set pace with this Ursa, with this Invoker moving around the map. But it's different. It's this fun that we're starting to get to see from them so much. It's the IO3.
Yes, so, and it's I mean, we saw sort of course, OG do this before.
Yeah.
And this game again, why do you feel it works so well for them here in this first match against Secret?
I think it's just something they're super comfortable with. The Savs been playing it so many times, and they've always been a team about amping up their carries, right? What better than having like an IO?
Fast, because down the line with this more Shakers, you just don't want to sort of get yourself into territory where you're having to deal with the fact that one of your heroes might get one shot.
Absolutely, and they're just going to get this crazy scaling. The team fight also, if you just look from Secret, it's a bit stronger as the game does progress. Once you start getting these levels on that Shaker, the AA, even the support Monkey King, it just starts to make everything a bit of a disaster for OG. But if they get a good tempo set, they have a good gold lead, then they're going to be able to still chain these kills. But we'll see if they can do that. But they do have the lineup to be able to, and tag team, Overcharge, Ursa, Alacrity, you know, Roche is going to die quite a lot of times in this game.
Absolutely, and we're definitely going to see OG get a lot of usage, as you say, out of those sort of early brawling abilities that are really going to amp them up and make it rather hard for Secret to go toe-to-toe with them in the sort of the earlier half of the game. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a brief pause. I believe that the teams are just getting themselves ready and all sorted so we can get tucked in for a whole complete game of Dota 2, which, as I say, you know, we're going to have action from the minute one, really.
Yes,
with this,
exactly. I'm wondering if, let's see, we'll probably see level 1 smoke from
Absolutely.
OG. They've got tag team, they've got IO. They've got the stronger level 1, even though sometimes it's a bit awkward because you have something like an IO and you're running to like Shaker. There's a Monkey King and an AI on the other side. There's a Morphling on the other side. So OG is going to look to hit hard right from the start of this game. And let's see if they do some, like, maybe, I wouldn't say like tri-lane or anything like that, but maybe just for the start, get a quick early kill on the Morphling, then swap the lane up. Could definitely see a possibility from the IO, the Tusk, and the Mars, since Tusk just works so good when you have so many more heroes for tag team.
Yeah. And so looking at the mid lane, you know, Nisha versus Thompson here on the Ember versus Invoker. How do you expect that one to go, right? Thompson's not going to be too upset with the matchup, right? He's going to... He should be okay. Invoker, you can play around with the Ember quite a bit.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of, you got like good base damage. Sure, your Flame Guard's gonna get dispelled in some situations, but you should be able to get these last hits. You're gonna be able to pull creeps back, and you know, water runes are a thing. So all these heroes that can still go for the bottle, like Ember Spirit when you're playing versus Invoker, you're gonna have that good sustain that just comes from it naturally. Well, he doesn't. So I know Brian was heavily talking about Saksa in this upcoming game, and I think we'll probably see him a lot of times looking to make those moves around those water runes early on, even the 6-minute rune.
I mean, and the same to be said for Yapzor on the Monkey King, or is he going to be more needed in the lane, really? Is he going to have as much freedom as Saksa is to sort of roam around and look towards that mid to help sort of push the matchup in their favor?
I think it's more going to be Saksa checking, but yeah, he'll check. He'll check as well on Yapzor. I think he'd like to stay with the Shaker, just as his melee versus Ursa. You don't want to leave him completely alone, right? So. No. Even though Shaker has done really well versus most of these melee matchups, Ursa can take advantage of it. Just one little pin from the Mars, even though it's a 5 position, and you should have the chase if there's no Monkey King there. So here we go.
Well, indeed, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The G has been called in chat. We are getting this match underway. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of Secret versus OG here in the upper bracket. And indeed, of course, smokes up straight away from both teams. Oh yeah, has a lot of potential for quite an early first blood this game.
Let's see if anybody scouts, if anybody breaks it. Of course, we have Yapzor as this courier dressed up, so maybe he'll be able to scout something for his team to allow them to dodge that quick aggression that's going to come. And let's see.
OG coming for the long way round here. They could get the good approach onto the high ground.
Immediately skills Cold Snap. That's the other thing too. Just always want to point out, some invokers we have seen at this tournament are skilling the Wex level 1 to get the EMP for the lane. That tells me even more they want to find the battle. And we're ready. I mean, the taunts, of course, come out from Sep, claiming that high ground. Yeah. And Secret doesn't want to fight. They know that it's too strong.
Absolutely not. No, you don't want to run into OG level 1. No. Especially when they've got the heroes they do this game.
See Yapzor also continuing. He's the courier form. He brings his courier out so that he's going to be able to turn back into courier form as well later on, so he can keep using that. That's why you see it pulled out of the base so early. Something we're seeing a lot more players do.
And overall as well, you know, this game, what's sort of your feeling from the drafts? Like, do you prefer the approach of one of the teams this game?
I've been a bigger fan of speed lately. Yeah. It's just going to have to be speed and few mistakes, though, because I've seen very similar drafts like this also from, you know, we got to cast that LGD Elephant game where they had that enormous gold lead the entire game, and then one little slip up, the Morphling, and the combo just ends up taking. That one was a Morph and a Willow, which also is incredibly powerful, but Morph and Shaker has its similarities. So for me, I mean, it's pretty even. It all depends on how the pace of the game starts going. Because if OG gets ahead, they can dictate pace and play around their low cooldowns. If Secret gets ahead early, then I think it might be a little tough for OG to bring it back. Level 1 Puppey gets gone on from tag team, instant TP, back to the lane.
That sort of lies, as I say. Both side lanes. I mean, which side lane is the most volatile, do you think? Who's got to be the most careful on this first couple of levels?
I feel like top has crazy potential of kills just because it's the double melee. Yeah, so it just makes 1 or 2 wrong steps. Same thing for No Tail. There's Jingu skilled right away on the Monkey King too, so that's probably the most volatile for me. bottom, the Io and Tusk have great kill potential on the AA. However, on the Morphling, I think Matu should be able to hold his own, because once he gets his like level 2, level 3, he's going to have a disengage, and he's also just going to have that incredible attribute shift.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, this top lane, the fact that this Monkey King Shaker against the 2 melees, I guess same could be said for the Mars and the Ursa. A lot of, potential to battle back, but for sure, you're going to see both teams taking early swipes at each other.
Stick is going to be really valuable up there for Zai. He started with it. He's playing versus the Rebuke. Even we expect that Earthshock to come out from the Ursa early on too. So they're going to have a lot of mana to work with. And yeah, I'd say Secret, I give them a slight edge in the laning phase with their heroes the way it's set up at the moment.
So far top. Yeah, might have to be careful there, Good Fisher. It's going to put a stop to any aggressive chase there from the 2 of OG. Mid lane Nisha having to play a little careful. He's got some regen out on the way, but rather low at the moment in that matchup so far. 8 for 2, 7 for 1. Pretty even here in the mid.
Topson's gone just straight for damage. Doesn't finish up the Null, just finished up a Robo the Magi. I feel like he might go something like a Drum. We've been seeing it from him quite a lot this tournament, and when he has the IO and it's about pace, I think that's something he might be thinking about.
Oh, and there we have it, actually bottom lane. Seb, he's the one to get first blood. Is he actually going to get Saxa out as well? He is. The heals are enough. Saxa doesn't even go down as we see action on both side lanes pretty much kicking off at the same time. But of course, OG, they were the ones to get the kill first.
Bit of a slip up there. I think Matu missed the waveform onto Saxa to get that trade kill. And as we said, Puppey, he's the one who's going to have to eat the brunt of the force most of the time from this tag team. He is securing the farm for Matu, but he's going to die most likely a lot of the times he does go down there.
Matu definitely having to be careful, but so far the first wave, see the losing the support by his side. Free farm for the Morph down here, 14 for 5.
And Sumail struggling, since he's got that double melee versus the Monkey King who's holding skill point too. YapzOr maybe deciding if he has another opportunity to...
Just get pushed back by the spear there, won't latch though. The Fisher out. Sumail and Noto, they want to try and get YapzOr. Sumail look to close in with the barrel strikes up. YapzOr turns into the tree. They take down Noto. Now he's going to look over towards Sumail. They've got him stunned. Oh, Sumail does get the kill. Can Zai get him in return? He can't. Sumail's got the boots, the movement speed. He'll make it away. So trade up there on the top lane, but of course Sumail may survive, but he's left in pretty bad shape there after that bruise up and still struggling to come to the lane for CS. Struggling the most out of all the cores here in the early game, Sumail.
And Zai's always got mana to work with. That's what we're mentioning. These stick charges, he's always got a fissure, he's always got enchant totems. It's a tough one for Sumail.
And YapzOr, Divert, of course, able to head over towards the mid. Get Nisha topped up and well.
That's where those deaths are kind of valuable. When you have bottle mids, you can always fill them up. Unlike for the Invoker, they can't fill up Topsons. Because he doesn't have one, obviously.
I mean, what?
Okay.
We have to control the water in here. What can they do about this top lane, OG? Can they make any sort of alterations to get this better for Sumail, or do they just have to tank this really rough start for the Ursa?
I think they have to tank it as bottom. Puppey, get it gone on.
Let's see if they can take it this time down. The damage from the tag team, it's enough here, Seb. Last hit comes in from the Iowa. Seb certainly off to a hot start indeed. I mean, maybe or Saxa. Matu's got to be cautious.
He's very low.
Seb just sort of beating back into him, stopping Matu from being able to get in and get the trade kill. See Nisha attempt to get aggressive mid with the chains.
Topson, he's got some creeps on him too. Said low on, he doesn't have enough mana.
Fairy Fire, I'll keep him topped up. Topson's still alive for now. Nisha, can he still get in this? 11 of a slight chains in about 8 seconds. Topson's still hanging around. In fact, he's got a stoke, but he has enough to get into the Ghost Walk. Topson will stay alive.
Really pushing the limit there, though.
Yeah, he
reveals himself.
Oh, Nisha's going to want to dive back in. He's got the slight chains. Topson, I mean, the Flame Guard up. Nisha's going to have the damage. Topson there making a bit of a mistake, getting greedy, trying to reveal himself to keep hitting the creeps, but he had no regen and no chance against Nisha with the second round of spells on the abilities and the Ember.
And Nisha's able, after that kill, walks into the enemy high ground on the triangle and also gets himself a bounty. So that's very fortunate for him. And yeah, big mistake there from Topson.
I mean, it's, so far, just a 1k lead, but you saw it there in the CS. All 3 of Secret's cores across the board, getting solid farm in the lanes, whereas OG, they're having a bit of a slower time in the mid and that top lane.
And Secret's the one who, as we were mentioning, later game scaling is really good. You see this Morphling having a way better start than the Ursa. It's definitely some concern. So I think Saxa, he's going to have to be the one that we look at to kind of fix these lanes up for the team. Seb's done pretty damn good, but he's going to have to especially help out Sumail up top.
Absolutely. We've got to see big moves from Saxa.
Yeah. It's only level 3 too. It's not like he has this insane type of level advantage where you see some of these 4 positions have. YapzOr is actually level 4 before Saksa hits it, so a little bit harder to make all those aggressive moves when you don't have all 3 of your early abilities like the snowball, especially versus something like Earthshaker and Monkey King. Snowball, very useful.
That's Thompson.
Nice
to get in and take that away from Nisha. Looking for the bottle refill.
Yeah, just not slowing down Matamba Man. A definite concern.
Samel starting to get a bit more space. The pressure's definitely begun to lessen a little bit top with YapzOr making those movements over towards the mid. So a bit of breathing room for the Ursa here.
Only for a second or so, because Zai is going to hit 6 really soon. Looking to make the move,
Now going to try and go on Matsu. Not quite enough damage there to stop him from shifting. Still have the chase down with the tag team. It's not enough. He's got the strength built up. Matsu will be able to walk away.
Zai likely to be 6 after this lane, and that's where Sumail's going to have a lot of difficulty as he's still not level 6 on the Ursa.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
His double melee's up there.
The walk in for a potential slam could be deadly.
Does have his treads picked up, so he's a little bit tankier once he's got them on strength.
On No-Tail. Just struggling to sort of trade with YapzOr. Spears off the mark. TP's coming in here for OG. Thompson, he's in with the backup. He's come to try and rectify this top lane for OG. Catch on to YapzOr. He'll set up for a kill between the 3 of them, and this very much needed. OG, they've got to try and get this top lane in a better condition.
And he's got the urn picked up at a perfect time so he can make that move, and immediately he does queue up the drum. As expected, you know, we've seen him do it a couple of times now, especially when they have the IO lineup. And as we said, OG, the slow start is here, but the pace of the game is going to get picked up incredibly fast.
Yes, you know, you sort of blink and you miss it sometimes with the speed that OG sort of goes from 0 to 100. So it could absolutely still happen here in this early game. Still early days. 7 minutes in, 3 to 4. Less than 1k lead at the moment for Secret. There's still absolutely potential for OG to just explode in these early moments.
YapzOr making the move down bottom. They see him with the wards, but he's here already.
And they get a good Primal Spring jumping onto the 2 of them. Nice snowball off to the side. Saksa able to separate them a little bit, but now see if they get into Matamba Man turning into the touch there to use the snowball against OG. Closes in on Seb, gets the kill, and YapzOr might not even be done. He's got another spring in a few seconds. Does he want to go up into the triangle? He does. He's keeping his eyes on Saksa. Not quite land with the slow though, and Saksa will manage to make it back to the safety of his tower with that. But still, as to Seb, the off-lane IO taken out of the lane here.
More space for Matsu to heal back up to full from the Morbid Mask. Zai playing careful top, level 7 already. Very close to his blink tag already, 800 off with the treads. Sumail just had to leave the lane. I don't think he wants to be up there anyway, and they need to start getting better levels on the 2 supports for the side of OG. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to do that run-at strategy that they want to do in the next few moments.
And Yap's already been quite the nuisance for OG here, just sort of jumping around with the vision he's giving. And OG, at least with the 2 of them, Saksa and Seb, struggling to really get their hands on this Monkey King in the trees, pouncing around.
Seb already has Holy Locket done, so that's what we were talking about, where you get these items so much faster as this offlane. Gotta be able to make some nice aggressive moves, but they're on him.
He's gonna try and go, but a quick tether over to Saksa will break the distance.
He's too fast.
Doesn't even want to commit further there. YapzOr knows, even with the boundless strike, they just don't quite have the damage. Even with the 3 of them to blow up Seb whilst he has Saksa by his side.
Not quite yet. Puppey still only level 5. I thought they were going to actually move the Morphling out of the lane and then send the AA bottom to get that 6 early on to deter OG from going that run at you. Since once they have AA 6 also, you know, Holy Locket is online for IO, but that's going to be counteracted quite heavily when Puppey does get 6.
Absolutely, yeah. If he can land these blasts, it will be a complete thorn in the side here for the way that OG want to fight in that mid game.
And they have setup, right? They have Shaker Fissure, they have Chains, they have Monkey King bound the strike. A lot of different ways for them to set up that blast. That's 10 minutes.
Looking over towards Nisha, but he's going to be able to set up anything from them. No, doesn't want to try. Thompson, just get the initial grab here. Nice EMP. Oh, he was waiting for Sumail. He was ready. Sumail, if he gets this, it's going to be a lovely kill here for the Bears. Sumail set up in perfect position. He's had a bit of a sad time in the jungle, but he's able to head over to the mid lane, get a kill on Nisha. Top lane as well, OG. They turn over towards Zai. Have a little bit of a wait there to really amp up that final blow there that No-Tail delivers to Zai.
Zai used Echo up there too, and they were able to sustain up from the IOTP. Then now it's going to be on cooldown for a very long time, which is going to be a signal to OG.
Yeah, I mean, this is
to run.
Look at Sumail now. We saw how rough of a start he had. He's second highest in the net worth there, getting that pick up from that huge kill on Nisha in the mid.
And they're pressuring bottom now with the 5-position Mars with the IO. Matu's had to leave the lane.
You can feel it, that the pressure, it's building up from OG. It really is. Thompson getting deep in the jungle, looking for Puppey. Has his mana gone? Has he got enough damage on his zone? And, ooh, it's the Iron might take him out. Backup comes in. He gets the kill, Thompson, but it looks like he's probably going to die for this, as he's trying to escape them, but there is no running from Zai, Nisha, and Yapzor. So he gets in, he gets a kill, but maybe a little too deep that time from Thompson.
He did force 4 heroes there, though.
I guess that's space.
Space for IO to get the finished farm bottom,
true.
Tusk to get the levels top, Ursa to get more farm too. So at the end of the day, it's a Thompson move. Because that's what he likes to do. Sacrifice himself for the greater good. Zai does have a Blink Dagger finished up, though, off of that kill. So there is going to be some responses that come out from Secret after they get those kills. Also, a Maelstrom finished up on the Ember, so Secret does have a bit of a timing where they can fight back. That's the one thing, is we were talking about how OG is looking to set tempo constantly with this fast-paced draft, but it's not like Secret isn't going to be able to fight back with their heroes.
Absolutely not. Yeah, Secret, they'll certainly be ready to have a shot back at them. Let's see if they can set up to sort of make a jump and a good reveal with that Blink Dagger on Zai's Shaker. Smoke up already. In fact, from Yapzor and Nisha, they're leading the way up top. It's just Saxer up here at the moment, soaking up some XP around the tower. Matu's starting to take the tower. They'll dive in straight away. Set up there with the chains, in with the Remnant. TP's coming in. It's actually going to continue. Thompson, he does want to try and look for the counterplay. Rugos command is down. Jump off the side. Nisha is able to break away with that last bit of mana. Ice Blast goes crashing straight over the set. Headshot there from Puppey. As he lands it on the iron, no healing for Seb. Seb's out. Thompson trying to run, but the sentries, there are plenty here from Secret as they lay them both down. Thompson, he's got the move speed though to get out of the range, so Thompson will sneak away. But a big hit there from Secret up on the top lane, and that's the move you said. They knew that OG, despite losing Saxer at the start, OG's the kind of team that will turn up and try and fight around that tier 1. Secret, they were prepared completely for that.
And look at the pace. They're smoking again instantly, though. The smoke's going to break.
It is. They know they're in the pit. Puppey's going to know exactly what's going on, surely. Smoke dispels, he checks it out. This is risky from Sumail and Saxer. They've got to run the inside. He's in, catches the 2 and they'll jump over the Remnant. Boundless straight follow-up. They're both dead.
And it's half HP. They might consider even going for it themselves if they get some more follow-up kills.
He's ready to chase up to the high ground. Thompson and Seb will be able to hold them back. Quick slide from Nisha keeps them low, but Seb will heal the 2 of them up. But as you say, Roshan, it's in a bit of a juicy position here for Secret. It's not too easy for them to really go for it, though.
Yeah. Big hit, though. Nisha with some really nice individual plays there, dodging out the EMP, dodging out the Mars, everything around that tower, setting them up now for a 2K lead, and still looking to respond.
He's trying to set things up there, N0tail. Quick poke, stops Matu from being able to lead in.
That hurts OG quite a lot.
I mean, it was a risky play there, trying for that Roche. A very, very risky move. Does not pay off. Secret shut it down.
And they weren't even looking for the Roche. They were just smoking to move across the map, and they're like, oh, wait a minute. Look at that. So very fortunate for the side of Team Secret, having a Haster now on the Ember Spirit. Zai, as we mentioned, Echo Slam still on cooldown, but they've responded in great force versus the aggression of OG. Even though the relocate and the numbers are attempted to be there from OG, Secret was ready. And as you mentioned, the snap, of course. Puppey getting that big AA blast on the IO. That's going to be the crucial
He's going to do every time, yeah.
This IO, if you look at 20 Holy Locket plus mech, he's going to be able to like full heal anybody they do go on, unless that AA blast does come over.
Absolutely, all about Puppey getting that hit in. I see OG. I think they pretty much have the defusal done on Sumail, so just a few hundred gold off it. Any sort of other items at this stage that each team is waiting upon to have their sort of next power spike?
I don't think so at all. I think that
just go when they want.
Secret is extremely happy with this pace of the game right now. Morphling, like Matu's just getting to free farm while they're also still defending towers. I think OG just needs to keep looking to make these plays. I think if they sit back and look to wait for something, the game's going to quickly fall out of their favor.
I mean, well, yeah, as you say, you're seeing more for the top net worth here. Yes. And if that's happening, Secret's happy.
Yeah, they've got Defusal now. They got a Medallion also on the Invoker. This is another go time. Smoke up, look for a play immediately with this.
There we go, in immediately from OG, Seb. Sumail and N0tail. Seb, of course, ready to take Sumail in with a relocate if N0tail finds a solid setup for the arena.
They have to start finding these big kills. Slow down the Morphling, slow down the Ember Spirit. Still difficult, though.
Go for the D ward here. So Secret will be aware that they're coming in from the side. Secret grouping up here in preparation for some sort of jump from OG.
And they've got the big ultis. That's the one thing of Secret, especially if they've got the high ground advantage. They have those humongous team fight ultimates in comparison. OG a lot more limited because it's a 5-position Mars who has to walk his way in to try to place his arena.
I mean, some nice little moves there from Saxa, moving himself and all illusions independently there. So Secret did have to guess a bit what was happening. Sumail, he's trying for the Roche again. He's in the pit. He's getting bashed. You know, he will be able to jump out there away from the Fisher, but I mean, they really want to try and get this for Sumail, but again, it's just such a risk when Secret's all up at the moment. As you say, Secret, they're more than happy to jump in for the fight. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to get Roshan like this if you're OG.
But they have to. That's the lineup. They need to get that Roshan advantage for the Ursa. That's why you see both teams just heavily emphasizing in the area. But yeah,
Secret's not going to let him.
Secret's got this Ice Vortex, 40 man. I mean, Puppey can pretty much infinitely throw it in there to get the scout if he's in the area.
It's very hard for OG to find. They need to get some sort of action first.
Showing the IO top, Seb. So have to be a bit careful of his positioning. He's split away from the Ursa too, so that means the relocate play is not going to be available for OG to get the numbers. So Secret, they're looking to catch him when he's split away.
If they can get the setup a little too deep here, TP immediately comes in from Saxa. Rest of OG starting the head up as well. So Secret, they won't dive any further. Yeah, as long as Secret can sort of keep the pressure on, keep OG distracted and away from Matu, they're only going to be able to increase that lead that Matu has. Already about 1k ahead of the farmer Sumail. Matu much more happier to just spend time hitting the creeps. He is going to step at OG right on the shadow here. And Matu knows. He's keeping it cautious, keeping it cool, and making sure that OG can't get the jump on it.
He's going to have his Manta done any second now. And then he's going to go straight for that Aghanims afterwards, as we expect with that Earthshaker combos. And as we've seen to expect, and come to expect from Topson when he's playing this Invoker, he sometimes does go for this more buff-up strategy, just the Alacrity plus that Solar Crest to make his Ursa, or whichever edge carry, that much stronger.
Absolutely, just give Sumail the best game he can possibly give him.
Yep. N0tail sneaking in, but he's under vision.
I'm going to start things on him. He'll put the arena, but a quick jump from Nisha. Dodges the spear. Backup's coming up from the side. Topson buffed up by Seb as they look to lead in. Saxa, he's caught Sai as well at the top left to stop Sai from being able to get the jump in. He has to be down sides out of mana. Seb caught by the chains, hit by the blast as Seb goes down.
Nisha, time and time again this game, dodging the spears, dodging the Mars ults, dodging the EMPs, just being a rightful nuisance for OG.
A good read from Saxa, though. That fight could definitely have gone a whole lot worse for OG. Saxa just making sure that he can find Zai's Shaker at every possibility.
Zai's resetting though, going back to base, healing up, and he's still got Echo Slam. They didn't have to commit anything big on the side of Secret. AA Blast still cooldown for 30 though.
I mean, OG's still trying to fight into it. See Saxa and Topson coming up the high ground. He's going to jump start the fight straight away. The Bunker snowball over from Saxa. Keeps the time for Topson to reset. Massive waveforms in. Trapped in the charge. He'll get taken down. We'll go to Mike. Comes down. Nisha with the newly picked up BKB. Ready to roll. Runs down Saxa. Turns over towards Sumail. Sumail trying to put the erase to get out of there. OG, have they got any backup for Sumail? Sends back out with a relocate. Sumail now without the ult. He's in trouble. Matu charges into the touch. Use the chop, but Sumail's able to Earthshock out of there. Yapsel up into the sky. But they cut him down. They cut him down for the trees. Spear comes out. Ice block. Boundless strike straight on the Topson. But Topson, he's still trying to turn and fight. He can't survive for it all. He'll go down. N0tail over to Yapsel. Sumail. He's on top of Puppey. Puppey to fall. They found the number. OG will come out on top of this fight.
Right next to Roche as well.
This is what they were looking for. A huge fight for OG, sets up the Roshan with 3 still dead on Secret. There's no stopping OG from taking this.
And Topson ate the brunt of the force, but the AA Blast, as we mentioned, it's got it nerfed so many times in the past, was still on cooldown for a good 20 seconds when they initially jumped Topson. The heals come out, and then they're able to pretty decently turn the fight. Matu's still alive though, does get a kill on N0tail while the Roche is claimed by Sumail. But a pretty solid fight for OG, all things considered. When it's a BKB reveal on Nisha, and the Wukong's command was there layered from the whole fight.
I mean, it looked like it was going to fall apart for OG as well. You see this chase. Matu was a cool moves here as the Tusk trying to control Sumail, but he couldn't. Good control as well, taking Yapsel out of the trees, stopping that spring jump forward, which would have allowed them to kill Topson off much quicker.
That spear was huge.
As OG, that was exactly the fight they needed here to begin to get that momentum, that sort of power back under their wings.
And look at this, Sumail is going to go straight for that Aghanims build on the Ursa. Just more survivability. He's going to be able to constantly be that rightful nuisance inside the fights, stick on targets. Again, the bottom.
Oh, goodbye, Thompson. Out along his own. I mean, Seb,
reload.
He might be in trouble as well.
Boy.
Did try and come in to help out. He's pretty tanky, not tanky enough to deal with Forest Secret beating him down. They got to get out of there, the rest of OG. No fight to be had. As a bit of a slip up, and Seb getting baited into it as well.
Good. Can't make too many of those mistakes. Even though you've got this Aegis and all that, you know, you've got this quick pace lineup, you don't want this game to drag on. You don't want to allow this Morphling to finish up and farm that Aghanims, which he is going to get eventually in this game. He's already got one component. So they've got the blink now on N0tail, so just keep going. That's the one thing is they have to still look to keep making these plays, even if they do lose Thompson every now and then. It's just what they have to do with their draft. Otherwise, as we say, they will get outscaled.
Well, let's see how much they can get done with this Aegis.
See how much they can get done.
Sumail. 3 minutes to really push the issue here for OG.
See what N0tail finds with his blink review.
Set up mid. Trying to look for the jump at N0tail. He's in for the counter, but comes into the arena. But is there actually any backup? I don't know if there is. N0tail just ends up dying immediately after he looks to initiate. Yamso and Zai, they are low. Saxa, he's got the catch straight over the wall side. Zip ball from Matt. Matsu's ready to turn and fight back. Another kill there for Zai. Zai will survive. James locking down the two of them, and Seb comes in with a heal. Thompson back up to full HP. You got the blink coming out, but he did put it on stop. Matsu focused out by Sumail. They're ready to try for more. Yamso passes off to the side. The Coles down. Nisha, he's in trouble. He's trying to remnant out of it. Will have enough mana to jump over to the side. They're looking to hunt him down. They know he's gone south. They're checking out the high ground with the sun strike. Sumail closes the gap again. Yamso with the balance for the trees, holds back the bear.
Pabiosa now Zai.
I mean, underneath the tower, it's a little deep here for OG. Jump forward, see if Sumail can get Zai here. He's got the heal of Seb. Sumail actually going to live. He's actually going to live here. Triple kill, they might get Yamso as well. He's been caught off the trees. Another. Sumail with the ultra kill. Getting it done here. OG turn it up. They look for the fight with the Aegis. They've still got that Aegis ready for another round. Sumail getting some huge kills there. Nearly level 18. And now we can look to start working on that BKB.
Look at the damage he was able to do in the fight. It looked a little weird because N0tail starts the fight and they didn't have the backup initially, but in the midst of the fight, don't know if everybody saw it on the side of the cameras, the Io Spirits clipped the Shaker. Zai actually echoed the floor when they were trying to make the big go onto Ursa. Either way though, there was still an Aegis, they were still getting all the full heal. OG getting this big ramp up going for them, and I do believe Secret needs to be a little bit more careful with their Ice Blasts. They just throw it onto Thompson every single time, but it's got a 60-second cooldown. There's likely only one going to be in every single one of these team fights. They have to prioritize it on the big heals. As we've seen Seb now just chunk up his teammates with that. And Thompson is the sacrifice.
There we go. OG. No slowing down, of course, from this squad.
Nope.
1-5 finishes, they're already thinking about how they're going to start the next jump onto Matsu.
right away.
Got the cold snap, good vision from Zai, holds back the 3-wave format. The Snowball's going to be there to chase up for the high ground. Sumail, he still wants to go. He's still going in. He's diving in onto Matsu. The strike spilled on. Sumail takes him down. Back to the low ground. Nisha managed to get out of the back guys. Kills off N0tail with the BKB looking to commit. Kills off Thompson as well. Sumail, still 40 seconds on the Aegis. Yaps off in the tree line, lines up onto the 2. Saxa, buying time with the snowball.
Oh.
He's going to be earning pretty deep here, Saxa, but Sumail, meanwhile, finding Zai underneath the tier 2. And Saxa, he's also going to be able to walk out of it.
He's got his blink now. Oh boy, OG really starting to find their footing, and with the blink too, now there's more ways to save his teammates from combo plays with Aghanims on Ursa. How are they going to combo Sumail down?
Yeah,
he
they are
can pop the
struggling.
enrage every single time when he's getting gone on. This is going to be a bit of a problem because they don't have any forms of silence at all on their team. So Enrage, of course, could be able to get popped whenever you are stunned up because of that Axe. This is problematic for Secret.
He's
such a big Ursa.
He really is. He played it so cool in the early game. That's a pent-up rage from suffering in that sort of laning phase where he couldn't hit the CS. It's coming out now from Sumail.
At level 20 already at this point. And he's not letting Matu have a fun time in the fights, even though Matu staking on the defusal is a problem.
Yeah, Matu has to run every time. He cannot fight back against this Ursa. Thompson Not going to be able to get the catch. Nisha is prepared for this.
Didn't get to touch on this either. If we look at YapzOr, he's going for a very aggressive build. We've seen a couple times the Atoses into Gleipnirs. I think we saw a couple Orchid rushes, I think on Crit as this 4 position. He's going for the late game. He's going for the Scotty. He's going to be able to apply it to everybody. The slow, the reduced healing as well from the IO2 in the team fight. So as it progresses, as we mentioned, Secret's going to be strong, but...
Saxa's going to find him, but Puppey's got a fair bit of damage as well. Saxa, we got to stop the cold feet here, but the snowball chops and he'll be able to put a stop to the TP. No escape for Puppey.
Secret's trying to, I think, slow down a little bit here and get those items finished up, in particular the Ags on Morphling as well. It's very close to it.
And as you were saying, not far off the Scotty, just about 1,000.
It's pretty close. Seb now has his own BKB, so it's gonna be tough to focus fire him anyway. If they can get the AA blast coverage, if they can get a stun initially on him, then it'll work. But if he gets the BKB off pre-initiations, then it's probably gonna be really hard for Secret to bring down the main focus targets that he's tethered to.
I mean, for OG, is it sort of waiting for the next rush? Do they need to go before, or can they afford to sort of wait, get that Aegis, and then look to make the move again?
No, I think just keep looking for fights. If they run into you, you look for the battle. You've got so many ways to protect your cores. Now, likely won't die no matter what happens because they can't initiate on him cleaning now because of that Ags that he went for. I really like the pickup this time around that he went for it, since there is no silence that he has to worry about. Always can get your enrage off, always can allow your IO and your teammates to come back you up.
Got their eyes on N0tail bottom.
Cool. Burst damage is coming up from their sides from double, triple totems and whatnot.
Someone shows in a lane and they feel that they're alone. They're making moves over there. See top Puppey. It's pretty out.
Such a difficult target. They have to prioritize, I say somehow have to find Seb, but it's been very difficult for them. And with the BKB, it's how does Nisha focus fire him? Because that was Nisha's job for the most part this game.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible to kill Seb at the start unless they open up with some sort of stun lockdown.
Which they have. They've got that Ags,
double shaking.
Yep. And he's got a Titan Sliver too, so even stronger with that base damage increase.
Let's see if they can delete first.
Oop, Puppey says hello.
He's just gonna walk in on this. He's gonna get hit by the Mindbreaker. He needs help, and he needs it now. Puppey, he'll get the Ice Blast over, but Seb's already put the BKB on. Off to the side he goes. They lose N0tail on the side of OG as Secret are to get to the back of him. So they're going to be any chase. Both teams coming out with the buyback immediately. OG will separate though. They back off. And just an awkward way really for Secret to start the fight. Puppey just heading up on the front lines.
I don't think he expected them to be there that soon. Just walk. I'm also surprised that he's the one that walked up so quick himself. As around the Roche pit, most important time now for the next few minutes. About 30. Sitting in the pit waiting.
Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
There we go, Secret. Rather far out here then. We'll finish off the tower. Smail. He's going to try and jump straight onto Nisha. Nisha plus the BKB. Remnant off the side. They're going to go to Seb straight away. Everything thrown down off the eye. They're taking him down. So ball over from Saxa. Sam does come out for time. Smail's already popped the ult. Ready to go. For more. Chasing down YapzOr. He'll remove the Monkey King out of the fight. A double kill for Smail. Now ready for something else to the side as he's on top of Matumbaman. Waveform out. Smail looks to Nisha, but now he's going to be frozen in position. Smail, he's trying to back out, but the cold feet kicks in. Smail will follow. N0tail as well. Cut down by Nisha. With the setup there, Matchel comes in for the finishing blow. Secret, this time round, the execution, it's there. They find Seb, remove the ire from the engagement, and suddenly everything becomes a lot harder for OG. Smail, he still wants to be able to charge in, but he hasn't quite got that same level of sustain that he had before.
And it was them just clear understanding. He used BKB earlier. They knew it was still on cooldown. If they just commit onto him immediately, that IO's dead. Mars used buyback earlier. No Mars, no Ursa for Vifta.
Just look at this, Seb.
Look how quick they were on him.
Everything just onto this IO, deleted from the team fight.
And then Matu can do whatever the hell he wants inside the fight because now he's got that Ag Shaker. He can just come in and start one-shotting these heroes. Is now with an Aegis in a very comfortable spot. Secret, as it's only a 1k lead, but I feel like it's going to start accelerating and building up very quickly for Secret. So OG has to be very careful how they take those fights when BKB are on cooldown.
Absolutely. It's just so much stun, so much AoE and control. It's not easy, even with the Enrage alone, for Sumail to fight through.
It's just such an explosive amount of damage that's coming out. It's like anybody gets seen and they're just dead from these totems. As Matu is just hunting.
He's trying to go for Zeb.
The headband midair. It's a cute little interaction. And of course we do have the IO Shard. That's also something that will be coming into play. These little mini stuns that are kind of come out onto our Morphling and our Shaker that OG does still have. But yeah, with this, much more comfortable position, Secret to look to make more aggressive plays, and an E-Blade now finished for Matu.
Got so much blast here. Jump forward for Notel, but at the same time, Zion Nisha now onto Saxon. Zeb will lead in. They're looking for Yamsel, man. He's able to stand his ground for now, but Yamsel finally falls. Matu not able to finish off. Self E-Blade here as Matu looks to separate himself from the fight. OG, if they got any further chase, Sumail.
The BKBs are
trying to head in. Sumail is going to be able to blink to dodge the initiation, but now the Ice Blast, the slam, they're holding Sumail in position. Zeb trying to come over to give it the backup, but now Zion turns his attention over towards Zeb. He doesn't have the damage though, Zion. Zeb will be able to keep himself alive. Nisha's over to the backlines, has chased down Notel. Matu, he's looking for Zeb. Not enough mana to keep chasing onto the Io, but meanwhile, Nisha and Puppey, they do get Sumail as he's separated from the rest of his team.
There's too much that they have to deal with in the fight. They're trying to focus fire Matu, but then he jumps left. They're trying to focus fire Zion, he jumps right. Then there's Anisha zipping around to the backlines, killing the supports with fire remnants. It's just so much elusiveness coming out from Secret, and OG does not have the same amount of control that comes out either. They don't have double shakers, they don't have chains and roots coming out anywhere. Much harder fights for them as we're seeing them progress.
And of course, Matu had the Aegis. He's still going to have it for another 3 minutes. Couldn't even get him the once. Definitely the concern starting to show with the sort of draft OG has now that the minutes are passing. 32 minutes in, 5k lead. OG, they've got to look for some phenomenal maneuvers to get Secret knocked back down.
They have the Hex on Thompson, so that'll at least allow them to hold one of those targets down and focus fire them. But yes, as I was saying, it's just, there's so many things moving around. There's a Monkey King jumping, Amber Remnants, there's so much different chaos that Secret's causing in the fight. And OG has to try to find a way to weather it, but not really seeing too many options as more Aegis, he's got Ags. You've lost so much control on the side of OG. This is not the way that their draft wants to play.
Mid lane notes out. We'll find him a bit of a freebie by the looks of it. He doesn't get the blast off, but now Nisha jumps in with the Remnant. Notel's gonna fall. Over to the side, Zion Yamsel controlling Zaxa. Nisha's looking to jump over to help out as well. I'm ready to go back in with another Remnant. Zeb will take the two of them out of there. Look at the Hex! Have they got the damage? Somehow! Did not to it, but they haven't. They can't even finish him off the one. Still has that Aegis. Jump back over on Thompson trying to remember the E-Blade combo comes in. Thompson blown up. Somehow Ponty Ray stays on top of Matumba, but that's only the once. He's going to be back for round 2, man. Nisha jumps in, control on his Zeb. He can't get away.
Good lord. This lineup is ridiculous. Once it's timing, I mean, OG is doing some great grabs of trying to get these pickoffs, but there's just too much control. They're too mobile. They're everywhere.
I mean, it's effectively sort of 3 fishes as well. This Boundless Strike also coming in from Yamsel. Just so many lines of stuns. It's thrown straight through the heart of the team fights.
Matu. Oh. They get the grab on him.
Have they got enough damage? No, they haven't. In fact, Matu is going to look to turn. He wants to get aggressive. He's going to try and get in on them. He's going to be looked for. Here's the backup he required. Zai jumps in. Notel to fall. They even look for some able to quick blink. Gets him away from the Fisher.
Nice attempt there from OG, but Secret still in the area. Somehow, even where they were just bottom, as we've seen them just flying all over the place on the map, always seem to have the numbers. 12k gold lead. It's quickly swung into their advantage.
And that was quite a confident line there, just straight up into their favor. 91% on the win probability right now for Secret.
There's just too much going on inside the fights. Too many things they have to focus on, while also trying to dodge AA blasts and keep the BKBs at a good timing so that they don't get clipped by it. It's not easy moving forward. And back into Shaker form. Back looking for the plays. Secret gonna continue looking for anything. any type of battle that they can get now. And yeah, really catching their stride. Linken's now on Nisha too, so that Hex that we saw, likely to get countered just because of that.
It's going to be so hard to lock him down.
Yeah. And they've got, we did mention that YapzOr was going for a very greedy item build. He did finish it off in those last two fights.
Coming in for the side. Fisher out to Sumail to start things off. Sumail will be able to take Nisha over to Wolf Thompson. They're on top of the Invoker. Thompson trying to run. Turns around with the combo. Ice Blast. Matu will not. Straight over onto the Invoker. Matu takes out Thompson. Now to Sumail. Sumail. He needs help, but he needs it down. Seb coming in with the tether. Relocates Seb. Won't be able to take Sumail out of this fight, but N0tail's going to be left behind. As OG, they'll still lose too.
This might be the most entertaining lineup I've ever seen in Dota. Everyone's just jumping back and forth. They're still going to lose Seb out of it. 105 seconds.
That's a long time. This could be the window Secret have been looking for to break the high ground.
Oh, they're feeling it. They're high-fiving. They're feeling that big confidence now after these last, 4 or 5 fights that they've just decimated OG in.
What can OG do here? 3 dead.
They have to watch. The IO is so crucial for their lineup. Likely to just lose at least 2 sets.
It's the bottom racks cleaned up. Secret straight over to the mid.
The damage from the totems as well.
I mean, they're diving in a bit onto Sumail. They're tempted. Sumail getting quite the poke under the tier 4. I mean, he's going to jump. They're going to try and get on the Matuma. The other one's coming out. Matuma getting low. He's got the ship. He's going to live. Matu will stay alive. Ready to go back over the wall. Sumail will bring down the Morphling, but he himself will lose his life for it. Buybacks coming out from OG. Same from Secret. Matu, he's had enough. He's ready to shut this one down as a second set of racks. I mean, they commit to kill them all. They do get him. I mean, he is in a position now. Matu dies again. The game might start to get a little bit interesting again.
They still have 30 seconds without the IO, though. They might just be able to commit for the racks.
Are they going to look to try?
Potential that they could. And again, it's too many things they have to deal with in the fights. Like you said there, they full commit for the Morphling, but he's not the only problem by any means.
So much.
Nisha 15, 3, and 20.
Yeah, they're also strong right now, Secret.
Creep starting the base, though. Those Forge Spirits in the mid lane.
And to push him out.
So that buyback, as you mentioned, might be a bit of a win condition here now for OG if they're able to find him. It's a very difficult one, but
it is.
Got to be careful.
It is there.
Yeah, Matu's just got to be more cautious with his positioning. Oh, look at that. A DD rune. Look at this nice damage on our Morphling. He hasn't even popped the DD yet, but nice little 1,300. Actually more, 1,500.
Yes. I'm also knowing that Roshan should be up rather soon again here. So something that is going to offset that risk of Matu using the buyback to get straight back in action.
And finding some big neutral items as well. Timeless Relic picked up on the side of Secret.
Oh my goodness, yeah, give it to these Shakers and the stuns.
Or the Ember Spirit, I mean, I'm fine with that too. He's pretty good with it.
It's a lot of damage.
OG.
Sumail. He's found Puppy, he's trying to get in, we'll get pushed back. Saxon goes in the eye, puts him over the side, jumps in with the side. Sumail got the BKB up in time though, as he turns towards the Shaker, takes him out. Matu trying to find N0tail, wait for the bringing Sumail out to the side for now. We'll see the jump. Matu, he's taking on Sumail. There's the hit. Slams out Sumail. Sumail hits the deck out for 2 minutes on the Ursa.
Look at that damage. Over 1,800 damage on our Morphling.
That's a big number.
He just smacks Sumail and out. Seb returns as well to his death.
And now 3 dead. No buybacks on OG. Secret with the 4 of them up. They can look to run down mid.
Thompson, he showed himself for a second, but whoop, whoop. We'll slip away.
He's trying to create a distraction, sort of push them away from the base, but Secret, they are definitely going to have their eyes on the Megas, and maybe even more. There are buybacks available on N0tail and Saxa, but 90 seconds no Sumail, a minute without Seb. There's the buyback, N0tail. Can they buy any time for their 2 cores to get back up?
It's got to be so scary for Thompson.
I mean, Saxa, he's going to get a jump in. They are able to get the spear off to them. I mean, Sunshine coming down, but he's in with the random smash. It's got too much HP. They can't burst through it. Buyback comes out from Thompson, but Saxa will fall. Also, with his buyback, looking to try and hold with just the 2 of them. The Secret, the damage is being done. The top racks are gone. The Mega Creeps will be out, and the jump over to Saxa. As soon as he's back in, he's back out again. Redland over to Thompson. Thompson goes down. Everybody dead on OG. OG as Secret now close it up. GG is called, and Team Secret will take game 1 of this best of 3.
They went for the strong scaling lineup, but saying that, how much they're still able to fight in the early game. We see OG trying relentlessly to battle into them, but Secret still has good team fight with this double shaker, even before those big levels come out for everybody. And YapzOr's greedy build does pay off with that Scotty later on, and OG